Okay, so I'm going to give a demonstration on how I've been wrapping my hands practicing Thai boxing for the past, what's it been, almost like 30 something odd years now. And it's a method that I like, using these cloth hand wraps. And this is, I believe, Everlast brand. And you get these pretty much at any sporting goods store or online. So the main purpose of wrapping your hands is to protect your knuckles and to protect your wrist, and also to train your wrist to be straight. Okay, because what can happen is you can break or sprain your wrist when you make impact with, say, the heavy bag or focus mitts, or an opponent, and your wrist breaks or goes up or this way or that way or something like that, and you can injure yourself pretty bad. Now, technically, you are not supposed to be using closed fists if you're ever in an altercation. The knuckles are not made for that. It's better for open hand strikes, eye pokes, gouges and such like that. But you can condition your fist to be pretty hard and kind of tough. My instructor's knuckles, you can usually tell somebody who punches a lot because their knuckles are they're just massive and just kind of gnarly looking and things like that. In my own personal experience, yes, I've had to use the closed fists when I used to work the bar a lot. Doesn't really bother me much, but that's just from years and years and years of training, impact training, punching and hitting. And so I'd use hand wraps for that kind of conditioning. Now, you can use the hand wraps with your bag gloves, or especially your boxing gloves, like if you're in a competition or something like that. I know in the Thailand and in the Philippines and places in Southeast Asia, they would use hemp to wrap. And hemp can be quite coarse, and it also cuts because it's so coarse. So a lot of the blows are glancing blows like that to create lacerations. It's also been documented that they would either smash up seashells, rocks, or glass and use resin on the hemp and dip the fists in those types of materials, abrasive, rough materials, and have matches, bare knuckle more or less matches like that, which causes devastating lacerations, especially when you get hit like that. It's in a lot of movies like Ong Bak, and I think Jean-Claude Van Damme's Kickboxer, you'll see that. I think they depict that, if my memory serves correctly. So I don't recommend you do that just because you can hurt yourself, let alone hurting somebody else like that. Plus, it takes time to do all that and put resin or glue and dip it, and I'm just bringing that up for historical context and kind of where the wrapping kind of comes from. Okay, so anyways, usually these types of wraps come with they usually come with a loop. I modified the loop because it wasn't large enough for me to be able to successfully tuck this around the wrap roll for storage, because otherwise you just have a ball or a nest of your hand wraps, right? And then normally a lot of these will come with velcro. Okay, they'll come with velcro, and the way people wrap their hands, they'll end up wrapping the velcro around their wrist part to close it off. The method that I've learned over these many years, you don't need that at all. And actually it's quite convenient, so I usually just cut that off. So that's why this end is rough. Alright, so to start this off, and it's something you practice with, something you kind of play with to get comfortable with, both right and left-handed. I'm just going to just show my right hand this time. But decide with the loop, you just kind of tuck and you put inside your hand like that, and your palm like that. And then you're gonna wrap a few times around your knuckles. Okay, so this is your foundation or your base. Okay, so after I do that a couple of times, see, I'm gonna do it one more time. Then I'll go diagonally across to my wrist. And then again, you definitely want to pay attention to making your wrist nice and snug. I wouldn't say tight because you can cut off the circulation and that's not good either. Alright, but you can just make this nice and snug. And I do that a couple of times, and then I go around my thumb like that. Alright, go around my thumb just like that. And then once I do that, that's when I may go back up and go around my knuckles a couple more times. Then around my my wrist like that. And so you start to get an X pattern on the back of your hand, okay? And then I will go around my thumb, and then next this is what anchors everything down. So I'm gonna go between my ring and little finger, and then I'm gonna flip it over, and I want to lay the wrap going towards my thumb this way. Please excuse my hands, I've been doing some leather work and this is just dye. It looks a little dirty, leather dye. So I want to go towards my thumb, and then back around my wrist, and then I want to come up and go between my middle and ring finger like that, and then do the same thing. I'm going to go bring the wrap around towards my thumb going this way, anchor it around my wrist again, and lastly I'm gonna go between my index and middle finger like that, and then go around around to my wrist like this. And then I can kind of tighten this up a little bit, and then I want to go and wrap around my knuckles nice and snug. I want to make this snug, okay, like that. Okay, so the configuration should look like this. On the palm side, and on the back of your hand it should start looking like this, kind of almost like a fishbone pattern. And then I'm going to come up as I start to run out of wrap. I want to go around my knuckles one more time, and then what I have left, here's the trick, as I just tuck it right underneath the on the palm side here like that. Okay, now what that does is it gives me a nice kind of a bar. It kind of makes like a loaded fist, as something to grip onto. All right, my wrist is protected, my knuckles are protected, and then I have a bar to grab hold to. And it's nice and secure. It's really not going to go anywhere. Now, going in between your fingers, sometimes some people do that last, just to tie everything down, and that's cool too. Because what can happen is these kind of will slip down, especially if you're doing like glancing blows and things like that. I just prefer to do it this way personally. It's nice and secure, and if this ever comes undone or slides down, I just, in between rounds, I just, tighten it back up and tuck it right back underneath, like this, okay? Alright, so I actually did both of my hands here. Just to kind of show you, sometimes you can be pretty consistent the more you do it, and sometimes it's just different because you're going from right to left, but that's okay. The concept is still the same, the pattern on the palms is the same, and then you kind of start having this fishbone sort of pattern on the back of your hands. Now, one thing, I've got this band-aid on because I'm working the heavy bag, and sometimes this knuckle will end up scraping the heavy bag, and so I'll get like a burn and it's kind of sore and tender, some skin tears off like that. So that's something to be mindful of. You just got to be careful with that. Make sure you're hitting with your knuckles here. Those people that practice karate, especially Shotokan, they're using the first two knuckles, middle finger and the index finger, and everything is in alignment. Here, Kung Fu practitioners, especially Wing Chun, you're using like all of your fist, you know, especially for chain punching or Chi Chun Choi. Normally I'm just hitting just kind of straight on. That's kind of what I'm doing unless I'm practicing Panantuken, which is Filipino boxing, which comes from blade work with the knife. More on that later. But anyways, I hope this is useful for you. Gives you another option, another way to wrap your hands. If you need to, just watch the video. The concept, again, like I said, you want a bar across the palm and fishbone across the back to protect your knuckles and to keep your wrist stabilized.